The world is a messed up place. There's stuff that could be fixed that's going wrong everywhere all the time. And due to social media and the 24-hour news cycle, we are hyper focused. We are so tuned in to that suffering. It's constant. You could, if you wanted to, spend literally all day, every day, looking through, scrolling through tragedies and getting more and more upset over it. Obviously, this is unavoidable in some sense, as in, if you engage, you're going to see some issues and some problems that you want to try and fix or that you're looking at. But you can sort of go to minimize and reduce the overall impact. When I first start talking about this to people, they get defensive or they think it's almost selfish or rude not to stay up to date and not to look at all the world problems all at once, because you feel like there's this inner duty, this inner desire, this inner sort of almost quest to try and be all around all the news and realize all of the suffering, all the outrage, all of the issues everywhere. The problem is that you're only one person, and your knowledge of all of those issues doesn't really do much. Think of all of the stuff that you can just pull out of your head right now without going deep that needs to be fixed or that's wrong. And if you think about it for longer and longer and longer, you will find more and more and more issues. More issues to dwell on, more issues to worry about. This isn't helpful, and it actually causes something known as compassion fatigue or decision fatigue. What action will you take to address those problems? You see a problem, we as humans want to address it. But if you see 20 problems, 50 problems, where do you even start? It can feel overwhelming. Around this time of year, you're going to be approached by, charities and other things wanting your money, and understandably so. But when someone comes to the door, you easily go, well, that's great, you've got your problem. But what about all of these other problems? And then you end up doing nothing. And then you feel guilty about that nothing. And then you watch the news cycle and it keeps coming. It's this trap. What I found as the best approach for me personally, for my mental state, and to actually get stuff done, is to choose one, or choose just a couple of key areas that you are very passionate about. So for me, I'm very passionate about mental health. If you've been following me for a while, you know just how much I talk about it and what I do and write about it, and mental health advocacy, all of that sort of stuff. So that's where I'm going to put my efforts. That's the problem that I know I can face. Now, I'm also passionate about, the environment. I don't want to see the world become a disgusting, polluted mess. I'm also passionate about animal rights. I'm also passionate about the elderly and veteran, a whole bunch of things. But I don't have the time, nor the education, nor the capacity to hold all of that at once. So what do? I go hard down one path. I make an example of myself in the sense of putting my story out there and pushing for mental health advocacy, because that's what I value most. And I know that other people, they have different values. So they're going to be pushing down those values most. And if I really wanted to, I could contribute to the charities or to the causes that most align with my values. I would rank them. What do I value highest, down to lowest, and then go, okay, I can work on that first one and I can donate to these next ones. And that's it. I cut it short. Someone came to my door and they were pushing their charity, and it was a sad story, what they were going for. But I'm like, okay, but if I give you that money, it won't go to this cause. It won't go to the cause that I truly, really do care about. Because in the moment, this charity that came to the door was telling me their sob story and all of this sort of stuff, and it was emotional, it's upsetting. And, I was tempted to give them my money. But then I realized that if another charity came to the door, I'd feel exactly the same. If I watched another, sad news story or another video popped up on my social media feed, I would feel equally the same and want to equally contribute to those. So it's doesn't really make moral sense or philosophical sense just to give to the first charity that asks. There's this idea, we have this sort of innate bias that we want to help the people close to us via proximity, in the sense that if there's someone suffering outside your door, or if there's 100 people suffering in a country you've never been to and never will go to, you're far more likely to donate or help and support that person outside your door. Even to the extent that people are more likely to support an animal charity, animals, than they are humans in another country. This is why when there's a news tragedy, the news reporters are always like, this many people killed, and then they highlight how many people were killed from your country or how many people were impacted from your country, because they're the ones that you care about. Your brain just innately just jumps to it. It's like this sort of, maybe this primal tribal thing where you're like hyper focused on your people. But all humans are equal in the sense that we all suffer the same, we all have the same sort of base feelings, we all have all of that sort of stuff. So why would someone outside my door be worth more than a bunch of people suffering far worse in another country? Does that make sense? Is the cause or the problems just outside your door worse on a suffering scale than people in another country? Now, I'm not saying that you should only go one path or the other path. What I am saying is to consider that, to consider the idea of, well, what you value, and not just be swayed by the first person that asks for your money, because everyone's going to put their best foot forward. Everyone's going to say, hey, my cause is the cause to vote for, to donate to, and all of that sort of stuff. Just like I will, right? Just like everyone will. If you talk to me for long enough, I'm going to say, hey, start doing some mental health advocacy stuff. Talk about your inner state, and I'll convince you. And then you will. But is that what you want, or is it what I want you to want? So, couple of things here. Cut down on the consumption of negative news media. It's toxic for your brain state. Secondly, if you find yourself wanting to help, work out what you value most and take action. You physically put your body in that state and do some stuff. Get out, talk, share online, whatever. And if you do have some spare money to donate, to contribute, donate to that cause, or find some other causes that you are very, very, connected to, but don't have the time or the knowledge or the capacity just to help. Give them your money. And say no, sorry, to anyone else asking. It sounds harsh, but you have limited resources, i.e. time and money, and you need to put them where you actually care. And then when you see the results coming back, when you see the people or the growth or the change that you've made in your area, you'll feel great. I've donated to charities and other causes in the past that I wasn't that connected to because I just sort of fell into it because they asked me. And I didn't have the same feeling of elation and joy and like I was doing the right thing compared to when I thought about the process and actually gone, okay, well, this is the cause and this is the charity, or this is the way that I'm going to help. And then when I've taken those steps. Yeah? Happy holidays. Keep yourself sane.